Well, the Trudeau government is making big changes to its multi-year immigration plan. The feds will reduce new permanent resident permits by 105,000 people for next year. Now, that still means the government will process nearly 400,000 new permanent residency permits, and about 675,000 new temporary residents are also expected to arrive in Canada in 2025. Now, in addition, the new multi-year immigration level plan combines temporary and permanent residency targets for the first time. Mark Miller is Canada's Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. He's been good enough to join us in studio this morning to walk us through some of this. Hello.
Hi, Stephen.
Thanks for being here. I just threw a lot of numbers out there. What does it all mean when it comes to Canada's immigration levels and classifications of immigrants?
Well, as you saw, as you introduced this, Stephen, the numbers that we've presented this year, which is an exercise we do every year, the law makes me do, is a much more complete picture than it's been in prior years. We are presenting a sort of a complete picture of what immigration looks like in Canada, not simply the permanent levels of people that will eventually become Canadian citizens, but also those that are here temporarily for a variety of reasons. International students have been in the headlines, plus the postgraduate work permits that they recorded. That's half of temporary workers. They also contribute to the economy, whether it's the agricultural sector, food transformation sector, whether it's fulfilling our trade agreements, people coming in here temporarily to work in the economy. So extremely important. But what we've seen over the last few years is a dramatic increase.
Yes.
And what I've been doing over the last year, particularly with temporary residents, which have grown significantly, is to reduce those in the area of international students, but also in others with a number of measures of tapering off the number of people that is having a pressure on affordability. It isn't the entire story, as you know. And also in the last couple of weeks, reducing by 20% the permanent residents that become or are afforded the privilege of becoming permanent residents and then Canadian citizens by 20%. So it is a significant change. It brings us back, I'd say, to around 2021. Canadians want a managed, controlled flow of migration, and it's important that we do that. We've seen things change as quickly as over the last year, and it's important for us to listen to Canadians. And this plan that I gave this year was one that was fundamentally a listening exercise to Canadians.
Is this change an admission by the federal government that what's been going on over the past few years hasn't worked? That we've been oversubscribed essentially?
Well, I think it is worth examining what has worked and what hasn't worked. We do have our share of responsibility federally. Immigration is a shared jurisdiction, and we own a lot of the increase that I think was important to prevent the economy from going into the recession, and the growth that we've had, which has almost entirely been due to immigration. That's come with what the Bank of Canada has said is a conundrum, what economists have said is a conundrum on services, on the ability of provinces to adapt. And so it is a collective effort by the federal government, by provinces, in this case BC, and by municipalities to adapt to larger numbers. And so that listening exercise over the last year has been significant, and I think it was clear to me that it was important to reduce not only temporary residents, international students, like we've been doing over the last year, but also on the permanent levels to make them more manageable. And I think that, yes, is absolutely our responsibility as the federal government.
This has led to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accusing the Prime Minister and your party of flip-flopping here, making a last-minute policy reversal to, I suppose, bring policy more in line with what the Conservatives have proposed. How much influence did the reaction of opposition parties have on this new policy?
Well, I listen, frankly, to all Canadians. That includes criticism that I receive, whether it's from the NDP, the Bloc, or the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre has been singularly irresponsible in his approach to immigration, saying that there's been this uncontroversial approach to immigration, consensus to immigration over the last 150 years. We know that that's not entirely true, whether it's the Chinese head tax, whether it's racial policies that went up to the 60s. He'll just make things up, and the only thing he's come up with is saying, well, math will solve it. Well, we haven't seen. If he wants an election tomorrow, we would have to see his plan. This is our plan. I think it's responsible.